there's really nothing you can do. So if the ball is going where you want it to go, you're doing everything you can to give yourself the best chance to be successful. The Process Pitching Chart.
Process Pitching Chart by going to my website, www.majorleaguementaltraining.com, going to the products page and scrolling down to the bottom. And I think coaches, again, and players, focus on the process, because that's what you can control. And in the game of baseball, there's so many factors that we can't control that we need to really focus on those which we can to give us the best chance to be successful. So in baseball, we're talking about, things and why the mental game is important. One is this quote from Lou Piniella, that, he's not going to be a tough competitor. He doesn't know how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So as a pitcher, how do you get comfortable with being uncomfortable? The mound sucks, it's cold outside, you don't feel good, Girardin doesn't feel that great. So what? Still got to deal with it. Next day in the paper, it's not going to say, Brian Cain walked 5 guys, didn't have a good outing today, but it was cold, wet, the mound wasn't in good condition, and he had a sore arm. Feel sorry for him. No. Nobody cares. So how do you be tough when you don't feel good? How do you be comfortable with being uncomfortable? And the way you be comfortable with being uncomfortable is by focusing on the 75% you do have versus the 25% that you don't have. So many times as pitchers we get caught up in, man, I don't feel good today. I don't feel great. But if you get the chance to play big league baseball and play 162 games, you think you're going to feel great for 162 games? No. It's not going to happen. You probably don't feel great in a 20-game high school schedule. So get used to it. Don't freak out. Just because you don't have your 25%, so what? Focus on the 75% you do have. And don't give that hitter so much credit, because he probably doesn't have his whole game together either. Go to battle with what you got and see what you can get done. Another quote. John McEnroe, a tennis player, but I think it fits in fantastically with what we're talking about. We all choke. Winners know how to handle losing better than losers do. How do you handle losing? How do you handle that failure is largely to determine how you do in the longevity of this game. Casey Stengel, more games are lost than they are won. So many times as pitchers, we beat ourselves because we're too careful with throwing the ball. We don't want to give up a hit versus competing and putting the ball in the zone and making that guy beat us versus beating ourselves because we're walking and hitting guys and falling behind. We lose more games than we're beat. The goal of the mental game is to perform so that in order for you to lose, that guy's got to beat you. You play to win. You don't play to not lose. You go out and you compete to win. That's what success is all about. The most important part of a player's body is above his shoulders. Tiger Woods is one of the greatest players of all time, talking about the importance of the mental game. Let's not look at the 5 P's of performance. Being in the present moment, having a positive mindset, focusing on the process, keeping a healthy perspective, and having quality practice, and how that helps you become a better pitcher. Quote from Orel Hershiser. When I take the mound, I don't allow my mind to stray. My one and only priority is the next pitch. My one and only priority is the next pitch. Hershiser is focused on the next pitch. Whatever's happened in the past, good or bad, is irrelevant, because that won't help them on the next pitch. Let's pretend you make a bad pitch. How many times do we do this as pitchers? I throw a ball, I think it's a strike, umpire calls it a ball. Damn! Come on! Snap the ball back from the catcher. You go to throw the next pitch. What that's like is trying to throw 2 baseballs at the same time because you're still holding on to that last pitch. Or, it's called carrying a brick. What I mean by carrying a brick is, how many times as athletes do we throw a pitch and the umpire screws us on, one of our teammates makes an error, we walk a guy, we hit a guy, we give up a base hit, we give up some runs, and we keep holding on to that stuff. We keep holding on to those bricks. We never let it go. We never flush the clip. We never let those bad things go. We're carrying things that have happened in the past. We're carrying things that we think are going to happen in the future. We're not in the present moment. We get that monkey on our back saying, man, that umpire sucks. How did they screw you on that call? Blah, blah, blah. Or how come you keep walking guys? Blah, blah, blah. Got to get rid of that monkey. all this stuff going on that takes us out of the present moment. Another thing with the present moment, we look at Don Baylor. You know, in baseball, you can't let losing carry over to the next day. You got to flip the page. Well, Don Baylor is talking about is if you have a bad pitching performance, you can't let that carry over to the next day. You got to let it go. You got to flush it. You got to let the brick go. You can't keep carrying bricks; those get heavy. Let it go. Start focusing on your next performance. Also in the present moment. I know you've been watching this DVD for probably 10 minutes. If I had said to you, how many of you have spaced out a little bit? Raise your hand. You probably have just a little. Well, I'm going to ask you to give me 30 seconds totally undivided attention. So sit up in your chair, give me eye contact, ready, go. Gentlemen, for a short period of time, you can do anything you want with your levels of attention and focus. Right now, the energy where you are is different than it was 12 seconds ago. You did something different to turn around and pay attention to what I'm talking about. This is what playing the game one pitch at a time in the present moment is all about. This is where you need to be when you're stepping on that rubber because you're ready and that's your mound. Spaced out, that's 30 seconds. Now what did you do to lock in and pay attention? Because it's the same thing you're going to have to do on the field after a guy makes an error or an umpire makes a bad call for you to get back to the present moment and be able to pitch. 30-second drill. Use that in the classroom. Again, these aren't just baseball skills, these are life skills. You got a boring teacher, used to hate going to class. Look at that as an advantage. Go to class, dial in for 30 seconds and then space out. Come back in for 30 seconds and then space out. By doing that in class, you're building mental toughness, which is going to transfer to the baseball field. Another thing with the present moment. Stand up for me. Yeah, that's right. Get up out of your seat. Stand up right now watching the DVD. Take your right arm. Let's raise it 5 times. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now raise your arm one more time. Raise it nice and slow. Go. Feel the shirt move down on your arm as you lift it. Notice the change in the air and the temperature in the room. Feel the stretch up through the armpit, through the shoulder, through the forearm, the bicep, tricep, the wrist, the hands, and down. How much of our time, fellas, as pitchers in the bullpen is down there just throwing? I'm just going to go pitch. I'm going to go pitch. I'm working hard today. But what are you working on? I don't know. Versus I'm working on throwing with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. I'm working on bouncing my curveball in the back part of the plate for strike 3. I got a stand-in hitter, and I'm working on blowing them up, throwing the ball inside. More focused bullpens, more present moment bullpens are going to give you a better opportunity to be successful. We can practice like this, but we're not going to get any better, guys. Take it, man. Take some inexpensive experience from you. You need to set up bullpens like this. Have a stand-in hitter, make it quality. Another thing with the present moment is that mound, man. That's the difference between baseball and softball. Most baseball fields have grass around the mound. Okay? You don't get on that dirt, you don't get on that rubber until you're ready to dominate and compete. If you're getting up on that rubber with any other kind of mindset, you're hurting your performance. So if you've got things going on, if you've got red and yellow lights, which we're going to talk about going on, get off the dirt, get on the grass, flush the toilet, let the brick go, and then get back on the mound. Well, how do you do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about a little later on to keep you interested. Back to the P's, we've talked about present moment. Next thing I want to talk to you about is focusing on the process. And we've showed you the process pitching chart already, but the process is controlling what you can control. Not, I got to strike this guy out. You don't have to strike the guy out. You got to throw the ball to the mitt. Throw the ball to the mitt, hit your spot, the strikeout will take care of itself. A quote from Greg Maddux, arguably one of the best pitchers of all time. People judge too much by results. I'm just the opposite. I care about more than results. I'd rather make a good pitch and give up a bloop single than make a bad pitch and get an out. Maddux is selling out to the process. If you've seen Maddux pitch, sometimes you'll see him throw a pitch and then strike a guy out and you'll see him kind of cursing himself on the mound. Why does he do that? He does that because he knows he made a bad pitch and he got lucky. And you can't play the game being lucky. You got to play the game being good. And Maddux also knows that if he makes a good pitch and gives up a hit, tip your hat, man. You did your job. That's all you can do. That's a process mindset. Take a look at a quote from Hershiser. If it ain't broke, some people say don't fix it. This was not the way I thought because the process was more important than results. I did my best to not allow success